How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to my channel and another movie log, which I haven't done for quite a while. Let's get right into it. Some of the films that I've been watching over the last um, about month or so. Finally got around to watching Intolerance, D.W. Griffith, 1916. And I've been doing so well lately with epics after watching Cleopatra and the Ten Commandments again and thoroughly enjoying them. I thought, okay, it's time to take on Intolerance. All 197 minutes of it. I actually loved it. I liked it 100% more than I did The Birth of a Nation. This is really an amazing film, and I will watch this again. It has, let's see, read the back and kind of give you a great synopsis. D.W. Griffith had a vision of the movies as the greatest spiritual force the world had ever known. Just 1 year after the huge success of Birth of a Nation, he was emboldened to prove his faith in the new medium with the superproduction Intolerance. And four separate stories: the fall of Babylon, the crucifixion of Christ, the massacre of the Huguenots in France. I think Huguenot or Huguenots, maybe, anyway, religious minority in France, and a contemporary story involving crime and love and all sorts of cool stuff. Um, I loved it. It went back and forth quite a bit with cross cutting and all that. And I guess that was one of the original criticisms of the film, that it didn't stay with one story and complete it. But I don't know. I enjoyed it. And Lillian Gish is in it in a very small but kind of central role as the eternal mother who's rocking the cradle at the beginning of the film, and in between each one of the parts. It just shows Lillian Gish looking for all the world like the Blessed Virgin Mary, rocking this baby in a cradle. So it was a very good movie. I highly recommend this if you have not uh, taken the chance to see it. I think you might enjoy it. Okay. Also from the year 1916, I watched this movie. It's a Theda Bara film called East Lynne. Okay, East Lynne, which is in this very plain DVD box I got from one of my obscure online companies called Loving the Classics, which turned out to be not a very honest and dependable company, but I have to admit this is a good print. Now, East Lynne is only one of four films that Theda Bara was in. She made something like 45 films in her career, but this is only one of four that actually still exists. And I think, from what I understood from reading her biography, this was actually in a museum for a long time, and it may still be. I don't know how these people got a hold of this print, but it's actually quite good for being such an old movie. I can't really tell you that much of what the story is about, because there there were only a few title cards, dialogue cards, and I couldn't get the story. Of course, they were all in English, but I just couldn't pick up on what was going on. And there's no soundtrack, so there's no music, and which that didn't really bother me. But in this film, Theda Bara does not play her standard vamp, evil, predatory woman role, which is too bad, because she's much more interesting than when she's playing a suffering wife and mother, which is what she does here. But there is Theda Bara in the movie. So, nice little curio from yesteryear. I picked up a couple of films from the Criterion Collection. Didn't wait for a sale. I just went out and bought them. One of them is The Furies, a film by Anthony Mann, directed by Anthony Mann, starring Barbara Stanwyck, Walter Houston, and Wendell Corey. Fantastic movie. I talked about this. This is one of the movies that I picked up a while ago that I never even knew existed. And so I just, out of sheer curiosity and reading what some other people have been saying about it, I picked it up, and it is a fantastic movie. Great Western adventure, hard hitting direction by Anthony Mann, who's known for doing a lot of action films and film noir, and great acting by everybody concerned, but especially Stanwyck and Walter Houston. They play father and daughter, and there's a very strong suggestion of incestuous attraction between these two people, more from the daughter's point of view than the father's. And I'm finding it difficult to understand why the censors didn't pick up on that back in 1950, I guess. But it's a good movie. Judith Anderson is also in it. She kind of comes in as a supporting player and almost steals the film. She's really incredible in this. So the Furies, very good. Another criterion that I picked up as soon as I heard this had been released, I went out to my local Barnes and Noble and grabbed it. Secrets and Lies, an English film directed by Mike Leigh from, let's see, 1996. Okay, wow, just a great film. I saw this when it first came out and absolutely fell in love with it. It stars Timothy Spall, Brenda Blethyn, Phyllis Logan, Marianne Jean Baptiste. Um, it's all about this very unhappy family in England, a brother and a sister who had kind of an unhappy upbringing, and they're sort of estranged from each other. And he's in a difficult marriage. She's living alone with her daughter, her grown daughter, who they just bicker all the time. And this woman finds out, Brenda Blethyn, her character, she finds out that a child that she gave up for adoption when she was very, very young has been trying to find her, and she does. And she finds out that, well, the daughter that she finds, or who finds her, actually turns out to be a black woman who had no idea that her biological mother was white. So all these things come into play in this family, and they're all trying to sort of um, they're all kind of hiding from each other, and that's where the idea of the secrets and lies comes in. So many things that have never been said, so many things that have never been talked about, that finally at the end of the film they all start to come out, and it's not completely solved, and everything isn't sort of swept under the rug and a really happy ending, but it does give you a positive ending. And I'm babbling like a fool. Great movie, Secrets and Lies. This is a film that my friend Jordan Thompson sent me. He sends me a lot of nice stuff, and he's very generous. And this is an animated film called Princess Mononoke, a Japanese film, which this is my first experience with something from Studio Ghibli. Uh, and I'm not a big fan of animated films. I don't necessarily seek them out, but Jordan loves these movies, and he wanted to share this with me, so I was happy to watch it. I thought that some of the animation was really beautiful. I love the music, and there were parts of it that I found to be very moving. But overall, I would have to say that it I had a hard time connecting with the story and with all these characters and the constant battle scenes and all this. But overall, you know, I guess I doubt if I'm going to approach Studio Ghibli. But I do thank Jordan for sending me this. He's a very good friend and very generous. I picked this up at Big Lots about a week or so ago for $3. Kingpins. Where's a Kingpin? Kingpin. Woody Harrelson, Randy Quaid, and who is this beautiful young girl? Oh, I've already forgotten her name. Well, anyway, Angel Angel something. Vanessa Angel. Sorry. Okay. I've been hearing about this for years. The Farrelly brothers, they sort of take on the whole culture of bowling and the Amish. And it's very irreverent, but it's funny. I laughed myself off the couch. This is really a funny movie. Bill Murray is also in it, and you can't go wrong with Bill Murray. So, and from Dollar Tree, I found another Ethan Hawke film that I never knew existed, so I wasn't going to pass it up. This is called The Woman in the Fifth. Now, this is let's see, from 2000. Let's see, 2011. It's a French, British, Polish film directed by Paweł, or is it Paweł? Pawel Palakowski. He's a director that I only know from another film that he did in 2013, a film called Ida, which is a very beautiful film that I saw at the theater and also in a film class. So I'm a big fan of that movie. This is a very strange movie that will take multiple viewings to even try to understand what's going on. It's a mystery story, sort of reminding me of films like Donnie Darko and Mulholland Drive, where you get clues to what the mystery is about, but you don't really get a clear view and a clear answer, and so it kind of stays in your head. Ethan Hawke plays a guy named Tom Ricks. He's a writer, an American writer. He goes to Paris because his French wife, ex-wife, is living there with their daughter, and he wants to be close to his daughter. So he decides to take up residence in France, in Paris, in a very ugly part of Paris that you don't necessarily see when you're um, in most movies that show the beautiful landmarks of Paris. You don't see all these ugly things, and he gets involved with this woman played by Kristen Scott Thomas, kind of a mysterious woman who is also an artist, and they start having a relationship, and it just it's kind of hard to explain, but all these very weird things start happening in his life, and he begins to think that an evil, dark force has taken over his life, right? And that's all I'm going to tell you because that's all I can explain. It's a very strange film, and as I said, it's going to take more viewings than just one. Okay, now then, here we go. Uh, my friend Dave Koenig sent me this through the mail a few weeks ago. This is a British film called Pusher from the year, let's see, 19. Hang on. No, 2012, directed by Louis Prieto. And it happens to be a remake of this Danish film, which I talked about in a video a little while ago. Something I picked up at Dollar Tree, another one of these mysterious things. What is it? Didn't know. And yeah, I love this movie. I don't know any of the actors, and of course it's in Danish with subtitles, but it's all about a week in the life of a very low class, sort of a low rent drug pusher on the streets of Copenhagen and what happens to him. So they remade this in London with actors. I have no idea who any of these people are. And so Dave said that he didn't even know there was an original, and I never knew there was a remake. So he sent me this, and I'm very glad that he did. Now, when I first got this, I thought, okay, this is a newer film. It's going to be more violent. It's going to be a bloody mess. So I was kind of hesitant to watch it, but I did, and I was not disappointed. It is a great, great film. Uh, Pretty much the same story, but it's a very different style, very different visuals. This is very surreal. Has a lot of electronic music by a group called Orbital. Um, Fascinating, very well done, and I would have to say that um, this was harder for me to understand what was going on with the dialogue because they had these very thick London accents that hard for me to pick up all the slang and all the pronunciations. Whereas this one with the English subtitles, I could figure it out. But anyway, no complaints. Both very good films. Thank you, Dave, very much. And finally, well, I have two more to go. This is a movie that I got from one of my online dealers, a guy named DVDR Party, that sells a lot of obscure things on DVDR. And I've bought quite a few things from him. And every time I buy something from him, he sends me a few extras just to get my interest going, I guess. He sent me this. It's a 1969 movie called Angel, Angel, Down We Go, which I never got around to seeing. It was released by American International Pictures in 1969, starring the Academy Award winning actress Jennifer Jones, who was a big star back in the 40s and 50s. And in the 1960s, she wasn't working very much, so I guess that's why she took something like this. This is a very, very um, kind of a pretentious, disappointing mess, but fascinating all the way through. The alternate title is Cult of the Damned, directed by a guy named Robert Thom, Thom. It also stars Jordan Christopher, Roddy McDowall, Holly Near, and Lou Rawls. Now, Roddy McDowall doesn't have much to do in this. Jordan Christopher was a guy who, back in the 1960s, he had about 15 minutes of fame as a young actor and a rock singer. He was involved. He eventually got married to Sybil Burton, who was the divorced wife of Richard Burton after Richard Burton ran off with Elizabeth Taylor. So all of a sudden she became famous. She was the owner of a discotheque in New York City called Arthur, and Jordan Christopher got involved with that, and they got married. So that's kind of how he got known. But he was an interesting actor, kind of a sort of a cross between James Dean and I don't know, Dean Jones or somebody like that. No, not Dean Jones. Dean Stockwell. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, that kind of rebellious guy, and he was a pretty good singer. Music in here by Barry Mann and Cynthia Whale. Interesting film, but I can't say that I really enjoyed it. It was very painful and very sad to watch someone as dignified as Jennifer Jones having to do something like this. But she did give it her all. I have to hand it to her. And I wanted to see Jennifer Jones again in something that I love and something that I feel shows her at her peak. So I finished off after digesting this. I decided to make myself feel better by going back to this old favorite from 1945 called Love Letters. Jennifer Jones, Joseph Cotton. Let's see who else is in it. Gladys Cooper, a supporting role, great actress. Anita Louise, Cecil Kellaway, in a very emotional and beautiful and kind of a dark love story with screenplay by Ayn Rand of all people. And it's a movie that I've seen many times over the years, growing up, watching it on television, and always loved it. And so that's my movie log. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you've seen any of these. Comments, as usual, are welcome.